Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi-ho, everybody, and welcome back to D Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griffin, to now Griffy D-Pad, and with me as always is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How you doing?
You know what's cooler than a snowboard?
A skyboard?
I was going to say a snowboard with a jetpack, but that makes way more sense because it actually makes sense.
Yeah, it's called a sky surfer, but we're talking about one of my favorite movies ever right now, man. I'm so excited that we're finally doing this episode. We are talking, folks, today about Treasure Planet, an episode I've been wanting to do for like a couple months now. But a bunch of stuff had to come out.
Well, but it's always fun. And I got to find something that you haven't seen that I have that I really enjoy. Because when we get to have these conversations for something you really are passionate about and something I've never seen, shenanigans ensue. So I'm ready for it.
Here's the thing. The last time we did this was absolute heartbreak for me. Because I showed you...
It's a terrible movie.
I showed you Camp Rock.
It's so bad.
And it's so good.
It's not.
There's a few more that I'm going to try to get you on that are decoms that are really going to be hit or miss, but we'll see.
I don't know what it is with me and the decoms. They were always there, but I never really invested the time.
Look, if I can just
other than High School Musical, because everyone saw High School
If I can just get you in on Lemonade Mouth, then we're good to go.
What the fuck is a Lemonade Mouth?
We'll get there. It's about a band that drinks lemonade.
I wish I could find something you haven't seen.
It's about the weirdo art kids in high school, because guess what I was?
A jock.
You are correct. Also a weirdo art kid. Because a little bit of everything. No, that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about Treasure Planet. But before we do that, a little bit of housekeeping, folks. Thank you for tuning into the show. If you are listening to us on podcast services, go on and head over to our YouTube, youtube.com/@D+us. to check out video versions of this show, the weekly show, and other stuff that we may decide to put up if I can ever actually get off my ass and finish a project.
We'll get there. I'm sure that we might. Have you ever seen The Pacifier with Vin Diesel?
Can't say I have, actually.
Okay. But we also shouldn't watch that because he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
We'll find something eventually for you, Mitch. But yeah.
What about No, he's also kind of a piece of shit. You do your thing.
I mean, I'm done with the rigmarole. The rigmarole is over.
Oh, well done.
Now, today we're talking about Treasure Planet. It's directed by John Musker and Ron Clements, written by John and Ron, as well as Rob Edwards. Based on the seminal piece of literature Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Which I never made that connection as a kid. Because I'm like, oh, okay, it's just another Disney movie. I didn't realize
and then you watch it, and it's like, no, this is just Treasure Island in space.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, music by the fantastic James Newton Howard. A runtime of 95 minutes, released in the United States on November 27th, 2022. Before we talk about any of the actual fantasticness that is this movie, I want to quickly talk about the budget and box office, because this movie was a bomb. This movie was...
I'm not surprised.
Bombed by a lot.
See it.
This is also that era of Disney that just everything bombed for some reason.
Even the reason was that the movies were not great.
Well, no, it was like this and Atlantis, which are cult classics now.
Oh, I was gonna go to Home on the Range and Chicken Little, but I think that was shortly after this.
Mm-hmm. Chicken Little actually did really well,
which surprises me. But
it was also Disney's first 3D animated movie. But no, so a budget of 40 million, and a box office of $109.6 million. Yeah, massive bomb. Despite that, though, it is a cult classic. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking about how much I love it, and critics were fairly positive on it for the most part. What's really interesting to me about this particular movie is how much it was just kind of supposed to spawn off. Like this and Atlantis were supposed to spawn off all this stuff. We were supposed to get a sequel.
Atlantis got a sequel, didn't it?
It got a straight to DVD sequel.
I mean, every movie in the 90s and early 2000s from Disney did.
So we were supposed to get a sequel for this movie where the main villain was voiced by Willem Dafoe. And I just want you to know that and feel the pain I've had to feel for years.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And there's a lot that happens in this movie to set up a sequel, maybe a spin-off show, maybe other like video games, books,
No, the games are there.
whatever.
The games are there. They're
The
not
games
good.
are there, and we don't want to talk about the games.
But-
What is this? Either way, oh yeah, this is. I want to see this. I haven't watched this yet. Sorry. I'm
What's
clicking through
interesting
Disney
about
Plus
this
like an
one
idiot.
in particular is I do want to shout out that this was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, and a year that can only be described as there's no fucking way Treasure Planet is winning.
Please elaborate.
So Treasure Planet came out, as did Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, as did
That's
Lilo.
the horse one, right?
That's the famous horse one. As did Lilo and Stitch.
I wouldn't call it famous, but
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch, Ice Age, and the winner of Best Animated Feature Film that year,
wait, Lilo and Stitch didn't win?
Spirited Away.
Is that the other horse one?
That's the Miyazaki film.
Oh, I didn't realize.
That's the
Miyazaki
really,
had won
really
an Oscar,
famous
to be honest.
Miyazaki film.
Look, okay, you know what? You're getting this exclusive right here and now, Griffin. I've never seen a Miyazaki film. Not
Are you
one.
fucking kidding me, Mitch?
Not a single one.
You didn't even go and see The Boy and the Heron last year?
Nuh-uh.
Okay, we're gonna fix that. I don't care that those
We
are
can't,
over
they're
on
not on
Max.
Disney+.
I don't care. We've broken the rules before.
Miyazaki. Mitch
Here's the
reviews
thing.
Miyazaki.
Here's the thing. Disney was previously their distributor, so it technically counts.
The problem there lies in the fact that Max doesn't exist in Canada, and I'm not going to VPN and pay for another service using a U.S. credit card.
Sign into mine.
I also have access to somebody else's. I just don't.
Oh, so you're just lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it also means having to watch it at my computer. And so I don't love watching movies at my computer. Like shows on in the background while I game, sure. Like a comedy special, whatever. Movies are weird. Like I tried to watch part of this at my desk while I was doing some other stuff. I'm just like, I can't. One, because I'm at my desk, and two, there's a 65-inch OLED TV in my basement.
Yeah, that's a pretty good reason. Pretty good reason. Hey, Mitch, we're like 7 minutes into the show, and I haven't even heard what you thought of Treasure Planet.
Do you know I've never seen the movie Chicago either, which won
I
Best
swear to
Picture
God,
in the year.
you need to switch gears
Treasure
and
Planet
tell me
was
what you
not
thought of
nominated for an
Treasure
Oscar.
Planet.
But I did just see Chicago the musical for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. So
Okay,
maybe I should watch
I
the
feel like you're trying to derail me at this point because you're bringing up the exact thing that you know derails me, which is musicals.
which is stage musicals, exactly. Well, no, I told you when I went to see Chicago, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, but still, you're trying to derail me, and I respect it. Now tell me what you
working?
thought of freaking Treasure Planet.
It was fine.
Boo on you.
No, look. So I think if you grew up with this, I can see it being a seminal film as a youngin growing up. I think it's a very good coming of age story portrayed in animation. I love the mix of traditional hand drawn art, flat CGI, and that forced perspective thing that Disney started doing around this time with like this and Tarzan, like the multi-plane. I think it's deep canvas.
Yeah,
I think
something
the
like
effect.
that. Going back to that old style of, hey, let's have things on separate planes so that it looks more real, like they did in the first like original shorts. There was that time where they kind of stopped doing that because it was easier not to.
Nicolas
is
Cage was
weird.
also nominated for an Oscar that year.
Okay, you're gonna need to close the Wikipedia for the 75th Academy Awards,
I'm back to Treasure Planet. Don't worry.
or I'm just gonna start yelling about why I hate Michael Eisner.
I mean, that could be an entire podcast in itself. No, I this was a fun time. It falls into the Atlantis bubble for me of like, I enjoyed watching it. I couldn't name you a single character. I think the lead character is like Jack
Jim.
or Jim. Yeah, it was a J, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched this thing like an hour ago. It's a very forgettable film. It's really pretty. I think it does a lot of fun things with the animation, with the action, and that's really cool. And some of the visual effects. Again, it's a classic literature story trying to be adapted. It's Disney doing the thing they do, where they're taking something that is public domain and making it into a thing, which is ironic now that Steamboat Willie is in public domain. And I don't know if have you seen the promotional poster for the new season of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver?
Yes, I have. It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
But they've also been doing this bit since last year. So.
They have, but February 18th can't come soon enough on HBO Max if we're going to get back to talk about Max. No, I think this is fine. It's largely forgettable, at least for me as a first-time viewer, as a grown-ass adult watching this 20-year-old movie. But
Mitch, because of time weirdness, that was last week.
Shit. I didn't know when this was coming out. All right,
wait a minute. You said a date. When is this coming out?
Are we that close to February 18th?
It is the 8th. Oh wait, you said the 18th.
I did. When is this coming out?
The 20th. So.
Shit. That's soon. Which is the problem.
Time's a flat circle. Anyways,
because Valentine's Day is coming up, and I haven't thought about that.
I have so many questions for you.
Carmen's birthday is a week after that. I
have so many questions for you about this movie specifically, so I'm going to keep us on track. What I'm most curious about is, how do you feel about the cast in this movie? Did it surprise you about just the bangers that they have on this cast?
How do you get Martin Short and only use him for 30 minutes?
I imagine that surprised the shit out of you.
Yeah. But also, the movie starts, I'm like, I know this voice. How do I know this voice?
Joseph
Where is this voice? It's fucking David Hyde Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that voice, that is a voice that I know. Dude, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt thing, because you had them in, he was aging up at this point. Unless you know it's him, I didn't really catch it at first, and I went and looked up the cast. But I'm like, I need to know who this is. This voice, this is such an iconic voice. I'm like, why is Frasier in my TV? And I was close.
You were close. I think the big one also here is Emma Thompson. As Captain Amelia.
Killing it.
Fantastic job. Everyone does in this movie. Everyone is fantastic.
The one that actually threw me for a loop is the first voice that you hear.
Oh, yeah, the narrator?
The narrator of the Treasure Planet book is fucking Count Frollo.
Yeah.
Tony J, man. Killing the game.
The cast in this is wild. I'm gonna run through it super quick because it's banger after banger, like I said. So we've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Jim Hawkins, Brian Murray as John Silver, David Hyde Pierce as Doppler, Emma Thompson as Captain Amelia, Martin Short as Ben, Roscoe Lee Brown as Mr. Arrow, Laurie Metcalf as Sarah Hawkins, Jim's mom, Dane Davis as Morph, Michael Wincott as Scroop. Shout out to Scroop. I've made fun of this character for my entire life, and I will never stop.
As you should.
Patrick McGowan as Billy Bones. Peter Cullen as Captain Flint. Tony J, the narrator. Jane Carr, just one of the random customers in this.
Yep, because why not?
Corey Burton, Mike McShane, Roger Bumpus, Jack Angel.
List goes on and on and on and on.
Well, that's actually the end of the list. But... But it's just fantastic after fantastic after fantastic. It really is special. Corey Burton of all people, just being this, as someone I think we know very well for his time in Star Wars, or Transformers or DC, depending on what's your favorite.
This was just a weird time in animation where you've got actors like Michael J. Fox, Phil Morris, Leonard Nimoy in Atlantis. You've got Val Kilmer, Ralph Fiennes doing The Prince of Egypt, Sandra Bullock's in that, Jeff Goldblum, Danny Glover. Holy shit, I haven't looked at this cast in a while.
Oh, for Atlantis?
What the fuck is with The Prince of Egypt?
Oh, Prince of Egypt, yeah. So, dude, The Prince of Egypt was something
fucking
else.
Hard.
But yeah,
shit.
This is a
Emperor's New Groove, Rolled to El Dorado. They all had these big name Hollywood actors doing these smaller animated films, which was really neat. But it was a weird trend that just happened for some reason, all at once.
Yeah, it's wild, and it gave us some really great stuff. Like we mentioned, Prince of Egypt, this Atlantis.
The Road to El Dorado might be my favorite movie, and I really wish it was Disney, so we could talk about it.
Right,
my favorite movie of that era.
But what I think was the most interesting about this one in general is just cinematography for this movie. Like,
Oh yeah.
obviously, I love this movie. This movie was my childhood. This is a very special movie to me, like, kind of launching my love of sci-fi. But yeah, like, the camera angles, you can very much tell that it is very influenced by Spielberg and James Cameron. Like, there is no movie I know that does transitions better than this movie. Like, the one I will always go to is when Doppler's like, we need to hire a ship, and it just starts panning up to the moon. And you see that it's not a moon; it is actually a giant fucking city.
Yeah.
It is just cool, and that's what I have to say for this entire movie is that it's just cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a cool looking movie. I think it's shot in a really interesting way. It's animated beautifully. It's just kind of forgettable from like a plot perspective, from a character perspective. It's all really fun. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the captain, and that's the doctor, and that's the kid, and that's the pirate. Gun to my head, you just listed off the names of all the characters not 5 minutes ago. I think you said Amelia, right? Was that the
Captain Amelia? Yeah.
Yeah. So out of that, one of those I retained in the last 5 minutes, which is just
See, for me, there's
like
this is one of those things where it's like, this is kind of what taught me a lot of like film tropes. Like Treasure Planet is the origin of like the betrayal of the father figure, right? Like, there's a line in this movie that gives me chills every fucking time. And it's when it's John like talking to Jim about like, hey, you have greatness in you.
Yeah, that was really nice.
And I keep the quote. I brought the quote up here, but it's you've got the makings of greatness in you, but you've got to take the helm and chart your own course. Stick to it no matter the squalls. And when the time comes, you get the chance to really test the cut of your sails and show what you're made of. Well, I hope I'm there catching some of the light coming off you that day. Like, say what you will about it being forgettable, for which I do agree with to some extent with like where we're at now with these types of movies. Lines like that are what make this movie for me. Like, I still tear up with that.
Yeah, I think it was really well written. I think for someone with an affinity for it to pick up on lines like that after 5 or 6 viewings makes a lot of sense. Just as a first-time viewer, I mean, this week was a little weird for me too. Like, there was a lot going on, so it was hard to focus and sit down and watch the thing. It's not something that's going to stick with me long term. I enjoyed the fact that I watched it, but it's not formative for me that it was for you as a kid.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anything we watch now will be in that same echelon.
Hey, Portals.
Fair enough.
Portals. One goddamn word, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, we still get our get hype moments.
It's harder to do though now than it was as a kid.
I would agree, but I mean, a lot of what builds to those moments, and I think the same happens here with some of the action scenes, is the score. I think this is a beautifully scored film. Interesting enough, talking about Portals, with the Avengers films being composed by Alan Silvestri, he was the original composer on this, but left to compose Lilo and Stitch. Did you know that?
Yeah, yes, I did. And I'm happy he did, because James Newton Howard killed it. James Newton Howard, known for so many fantastic movies.
Go watch Howard on...
and then also the Fantastic Beasts movies. But
yeah,
no, you know, stuff like Space Jam, Dinosaur, Peter Pan, King Kong, Batman Begins, Dark Knight.
Yeah. Unbreakable, Atlantis.
Like the dude, even more recently, Raya the Last Dragon.
He did music in What If?
Like, well, the I don't think he's ever going to stop. Like, this man can kind of do whatever.
His credit. Oh, that's not the. So that's a different What If. What the hell is this?
I actually, now I think about it, I thought he retired, but
this looks like it was a Batman thing in 2010. What the hell am I looking at? IMDb is a weird place, man.
Yeah. Let's also not forget, though, that he did do the music for M. Night Shyamalan's version of Avatar. I will shame that.
I mean,
movie
say what you will about that movie. The music still slaps.
Yeah, I'm just gonna shame that movie whenever I get the chance.
Fine. I mean, he composed on Maleficent. He composed on Split, both with fantastic scores.
Yeah, the dude is great.
Say what
He's
say
an
what
all-time
you
great.
will. The original theme he composed for Emily in Paris is a banger. As much as you may love or hate that show.
Oh, I love that show. That show is prime trash.
Oh, thank God. I don't know if we could have been friends if you'd said otherwise.
I love that show because it is trash. Let me make
It's
that
trash.
very clear. It is created by MTV. It is made to be trash, and they know it.
It's one of those things, like, I'll watch it with Carmen. She absolutely adores it, and I just watch it because it's funny.
But hey, we've talked all this fantasticness about James Newton Howard, but none at all about John Resnick in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Writing and singing the Goo Goo Dolls. Writing and singing here, I'm Still Here, and Always Know Where You Are.
Those didn't have to go as hard as they did.
Nah.
But they did.
I'm Still Here is an all timer for me. Like I was telling you before we started the show, I finished watching this movie and immediately went to Spotify and put this back on my workout playlist.
Yeah.
Like it's so good. All of this entire movie is very like early 2000s, but in like the best possible way to me. Like our starting shot is one of our starting shots is our main character riding a skateboard equivalent.
No. What it is it's one of our main characters paying homage to one of the greatest cinematographic is that the right word?
Close enough.
Moments in the history of film, and that is the opening of the seminal 1995 film Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Because if that ain't Tommy on that goddamn board jumping out of that goddamn airplane and skydiving, I don't know what is.
I thought you were going to say Sonic Adventure 2, and I'm disappointed.
I've never played Sonic Adventure 2.
You don't even. It's City Escape.
No.
Like
Power Rangers.
City Escape.
Look, you were born in a year that started with a 2.
Incorrect.
You were born a lot closer to a year that started with a 2. So when I grow up, the seminal film and works are Power Rangers, and when you grow up, it's this shit.
Here's the thing. Sonic Adventure 2 came out the year before this movie came out. And it really explains a lot of my personality.
That honestly does explain quite a lot.
The opening of this movie is just so damn good. I don't care who you are. Like, the storybook, like, telling of it and being like, oh no, the narration is actually happening in real time. It's just how this book tells its stories. To, hey, let's zoom in on Little Jim staying up at night to re-listen to this story. Cut to him sky surfing and then getting caught by the police. So good, so good. I love this stuff so much. Individual characters.
It's kind of crazy how long this thing was in the works.
Yeah.
Like, this was originally pitched to Disney in like the 80s.
Yeah, Eisner. Well, so it was. I remember it was pitched. Yeah, in '85.
Yeah, the
where they also
duo of
pitched
Ron Clements and John Musker pitched this,
as well
when
as the Little Mermaid.
Mouse Detective. Great Mouse Detective.
Well, no, they pitched. I thought they pitched this and the Little Mermaid at the same time.
They may have, but they pitched this while they were working with Disney on the Great Mouse Detective.
Right, yeah.
From that, they had there was a whole thing on IMDb.
So the whole thing about this one is this is a special interest topic for Griffin. So, fuck, why I'm forgetting their name.
So it went Great Mouse Detective to
yeah.
Little Mermaid, to Aladdin, to Hercules. They only agreed to do Hercules if they'd be able to make this movie.
Yeah, so Treasure Planet was one they always wanted to do from the beginning, but Michael Eisner told them no. Treasure Planet was one of those that, like I said, it was supposed to be a series. This wasn't supposed to be a one-off. Like, they were supposed to do a bunch of these.
When did Eisner take over the Walt Disney Company?
I don't remember. But eventually, they pitched it around. So yeah, they pitched it. They ended up making other stuff. They pitched it again. They made other stuff. They pitched it again. They kept making other stuff. Eventually, they went.
1984 was the answer to my earlier question.
But eventually, they said "fuck you" to Eisner, and just went straight to Roy E. Disney. And we're like, "Hey, we got this thing we've been trying to make for years. Can you please tell Eisner to let us make this because it's going to be cool?"
I mean, was it cool? Yes. Was Eisner right in identifying it as a box office risk? Yes.
There's more to this than that.
I know. Continue.
Because so they made this movie. This movie was not advertised. Because they went over Eisner's head. Obviously, speculation on that front. But pretty set in stone. We see it a lot in more recent times with certain movies. Cough, cough, Strange World.
I like Strange World.
Cough, cough, or Elementals? No.
Elemental.
That's
the Pixar
Elemental?
movie, yeah.
Yeah, these two great movies that just weren't marketed well.
I mean, also just look at the last like 5 or 6 Pixar releases where they all went straight to Disney Plus. And I know you've got a global pandemic in there, which limited the release of some of these, but Turning Red. Mm-hmm. I know they're doing a re-release now in theaters of some of these movies that didn't make it. Soul, Turning Red, Luca. Turning Red, out of any of these things that came out during the pandemic, deserved its time in the sun. It's time to shine. And it's disappointing that it didn't get that moment.
But yeah, I think what's interesting about this one is like it did still have some marketing around it. There was a teaser trailer that was released. Funnily enough, released alongside Spider-Man. As well as Star Wars Attack of the Clones. There was Happy Meal toys, and eventually there was a novelization in the games and the action figures and stuff, like there always are for pretty much anything. But for the most part, like it kind of like they kind of just pushed it down and pretended it didn't exist, which I think is why a lot of this kind of this forgotten era of Disney happens. Yeah. Some of it's good, some of it's crap. Home on the Range is absolutely horrible, and I hate that movie exists.
So what are we doing that episode?
We're not ever doing that episode.
Hey, you said that about Percy Jackson, and they confirmed it season 2. So I don't know what to tell you.
I'll tell you what, Mitch. If they remake Home on the Range, then we will do an episode on it.
I'm going to find us a guest that wants to talk about that movie, and then you're going to feel obligated to watch it.
I was going to say, that's the only way I'll watch that movie.
Okay. If you're out there and have an affinity, positive or negative, for Home on the Range, would love to join us. Griffin, you can clip this whole thing out and put it on that TikTok thing that all the kids are using these days. Please let us know. God, and we will talk about this terrible movie that Griffin doesn't want to talk about, and that I, again, to continue a trend, have never seen.
There's a reason you haven't seen this one.
Was it the same reason I hadn't seen this?
No, that one's actually bad. But another movie that came out in this time is Brother Bear, which is fantastic.
Never saw it.
If you thought Phil Collins went off in Tarzan, man.
Oh, we did.
He went off even more in Brother Bear.
You know what we should do an episode on? Total
Brother
segue.
Bear.
Sky High.
I'll add him to the list.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, folks, we have this like ever-going list that we're never going to finish.
Nope, because we want y'all to come on and talk about the things that you want to talk about instead of making us talk about terrible things that exist in the Disney universe.
We're talking about Sky High and Brother Bear here.
I'll do it.
Give me a quick second to add these in here before, because I will forget otherwise.
I mean, I can do it if you want to continue talking.
Nope, already done. No, I think that this movie, this movie did really fucking bad. It's the tail end of 2D animation. Worth noting, by the way, also though, that Musker and why can't I remember the other guy's name? Clements. Also, they directed a lot of stuff for Disney.
Yeah, we kind of already went through it.
They directed The Princess and the Frog, which is the last 2D animated movie from Disney.
For now.
I don't think they're going back. They're not going to.
The thing is,
it costs too much. It's too expensive.
I would bet money that they do it for one reason, and it is nostalgia. I do think that the Walt Disney Company right now is seeing a lot of challenges when it comes to box office success. That's why we're seeing some of the things that we discussed in our reaction to the Disney Q1 or Q4. I don't remember.
Q1.
The Disney financial call that happened.
Q1 2021 or 2024 earnings report.
If it's 2021, I got some lottery tickets.
No, it's just Q1 2024 earnings call. That's what it was.
So go and watch our recap of that to hear our discussion on the sequelitis that Disney seems to be going down over the next few years. One of those things, as expensive as it might be to do, would be revisiting 2D animation. Could you imagine if they took one of their classic films? They will never do it. What if they did a Lion King 3 in 2D animation?
They won't do it, Mitch. I'm not kidding. Like, to do a full 2D animated film, it's not a matter of switching a studio over to it. It's building an entire new studio. And they will never do that.
Like, Disney could finance a Studio Ghibli film.
They're not going to do that. They want full control. This is Disney we're talking about.
That's true, yeah. I don't know.
Especially since Ghibli is partnering with Warner Brothers more.
That was just a hypothetical. I didn't expect something like that to happen, but I could see them going a similar route to what happened with Star Wars Visions. They seem to have this flexibility in certain realms, so why not, license? I could see it being a win-win.
I don't think they'll ever license movies. I think they will absolutely license television. I think Disney television in particular is some of the better 2D animation we get these days. Mm-hmm. Particularly, I go back to the Owl House. I go to stuff like, weirdly enough, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. There's a lot of fantastic looking 2D animation that we're getting, and we're getting more stuff. Like, I talked about Has-Been Hotel a little bit in that last episode, but the 2D animation in that is beautiful. The 2D animation in Invincible on Amazon Prime, The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime, Scott Pilgrim, I forget what the subtitle is for the TV show on Netflix.
Saves the World or something?
No, Scott Pilgrim Saves the World is separate. I think it's Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
That sounds right.
But yeah, Scott Pilgrim over on Netflix. 2D animation is still very much strong, but only really seen these days in the TV market. I would love to see this renaissance of 2D animation in film. I just don't think it's going to ever happen. We got to 3D.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is the name of it. Yeah, we just resubbed to Netflix, so I should probably watch that.
I should probably get around to that one too. But yeah, I love 2D animation. I am the herald when it comes to 2D animation. I love this stuff. I cannot see this company who is so focused on numbers to say, hey, let's go back for and win more nostalgia points when they can just put out stuff like the short they did for the 100th anniversary. It's just numbers at that point, which sucks, but it is what it is. Anyways, Treasure Planet. Hard left turn back into the movie.
Right, we're talking about a movie. Sorry.
Dude, honestly, the 2D should they go back to 2D animation should be an episode all on its own.
Hey, that could be something to dig into, of the death of 2D animation, 2D feature films.
Yeah, that's the next massive video essay, investigative reporting I do.
Hey, I'm happy to contribute. I can do some research.
Okay, you get to do most of it while I finish up this other one that I showed you the other night. I broke Mitch by giving him homework.
This is supposed to be fun. I don't get assignments. God damn it.
Let's talk about individual characters in this. The characterization of John Silver is always fantastic. Whether it's this Treasure Planet, Treasure Island, Muppets Treasure Island, John Silver's just great. Ben is hilarious.
Ben is great. Martin Short killing it.
But also Ben really is just Martin Short.
Yeah, it's Martin Short if he was a robot.
Mm-hmm. Everything with his memory is great, but I mean, a Scroop is so stupid. I hate him so much. I hate his name so much. You have this horrifying skeleton or scorpion looking threatening dude, and his name is fucking Scroop.
Gotta love Scroops.
Oh, like I said, I'll never stop making fun of this stupid motherfucker. We've got, Captain Amelia is badass. I love her. I forgot like how flippant she is towards Jim and Doppler at the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
But like it works so well.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a fish out of water story. It's a classic tale, and I think they handled it really, really well. I think Emma Thompson just absolutely crushes it, delivers a great performance, and it comes through in the final product.
Yeah, especially they're doing like the whole cat dog thing between her and Doppler. We've got them. Oh yeah, let's talk about the best character in this entire movie, and that is Morph. Morph.
How is it that anytime a character appears in a product named Morph, he's the best thing on the screen?
X-Men reference?
1,000%.
Yeah, well, one day we'll finish that damn show.
I am on to season 4.
I'm still on.
I want to
season
say.
No, Morph is great.
Yeah, I got through the Dark Phoenix saga a couple nights ago.
Morph
I should have been watching this.
Morph is the best. I love him so much.
I'm on the last episode of season 3 right now.
Morph is kind of like the icon for this. I would say like the two icons for this movie are Morph and then also like the map ball.
Yeah. It's interesting too, just Disney's affinity for these kind of iconic anthropomorphic things. You look at Morph, you look at that thing that I forget the name of in Strange World. Like this thing has this idea has Splat sounds right. This idea or this monetization model, if you want to call it that, this merchandising machine hasn't really evolved much in the last 20 years because it hasn't had to.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Hey, we'll see what happens with the parks. You know, Universal's giving them a run for their money in Florida. So
unfortunately, the parks are making more money than ever. So
yeah, there's that.
No, I definitely had a morph plushie though when I was a kid. Like this isn't me saying definitively like I have it. I have pictures of it. It's like no, I just know myself and I know my past. I definitely had a morph plushie.
How close did this movie release to Flubber? Looks like Flubber was 97.
So that would have been
97.
like 6 years.
Yeah. So
5 years.
Not that it. I mean, it may have drawn some inspiration in the way that they designed Morph.
Maybe.
Another movie we should probably do an episode on.
Yeah, probably add it to all.
Because that was a bit of a cultural zeitgeist moment.
Mm-hmm. Reference
Everyone
to the parks
wanted
to
to
this
see
day.
this movie. It's a terrible movie. It's really bad.
Yeah, but it's referenced in the best ride in Epcot. So, yeah, I love Morph. Morph is one of those things where it's like this is a character that just can't work in anything but animation. And like the whole morphing idea, and I've upset Mitch. Mitch is leaving because I mentioned Figment. Either he's leaving or he's going and getting Carbon. Either way, I've upset him, and I'm just going to accept that and continue to talk about Morph. Because I love this stupid little pink dude and how he's just fun and just wants to be loved. And he ends up sticking with Jim at the end. It's so adorably cute having this character throughout all of it. And him being like the most gung-ho, I'm going to support Jim throughout this entire thing. It really is great. Man, I lost him. I don't know what I did to him. Oh, no, there he is. He's coming back. Oh, he's got a book. I'm narrating this for you audio listeners. Okay, he's plugging his headphones back in. What have you brought me?
I'm back. You've inspired. I forgot to let you know. Totally unrelated. You inspired a bit of light reading, so I picked this up.
Hey, good job.
Yeah.
Let's see.
For those listening at home,
job.
we're both showing our copies of the Disney Kingdom's Haunted Mansion
A lot of comic books right
volume. Yeah, the graphic novel.
This was a bookshelf I bought for the purpose of not having books on it, and now it's like covered in books.
It's all books.
Mm-hmm. Well, not all books. I got a Iron Man helmet on there.
It's mostly books. Is that a wearable helmet, or
Yes,
is
yes,
it
it is.
more for display?
No, it's wearable.
Okay, Griffin.
No.
Please.
I have to take off my beanie and my headphones. No. No. I'll do it after the recording.
No, you save that for the next time we talk about Marvel.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
We'll see what that is.
Probably X-Men 97.
To be determined. Yeah, I was talking though about how much I love Morph's design, both in terms of like how he looks and then also how he acts in the movie. Eventually, kind of just being like Jim's best supporter.
Yeah. I mean, other than John.
Mm-hmm. I would say honestly, even more than John. Like John is the father figure, but he still has his own ambitions. Mm-hmm. Morph the entire time is just like, go Jim, go. Last thing I want to talk about before we actually talk about like the actual plot itself, because it's the plot of Treasure Island. It's fairly straightforward. It's just the artistic direction of this movie, just in general. The use of kind of this old school, like it's still space travel, but it's also like 1980s ships. It's
very
so
steampunk.
Good. Yeah, it's very, very steampunk. I know they said that they followed the 70-30 rule with this one, where it was 70% traditional, 30% sci-fi. Mm-hmm. And I think it worked really, really well. I talked a little bit about it, but like that shot with the spaceport and whatnot being so cool is very much in part to the design of the world and to the design of the ships being awesome and whatnot. And so much of this comes down to those moments on the ships, particularly with like Silver and Jim on the skiff and whatnot. Like every ship has its own unique design as well, which is super cool to me. Mm-hmm. It's just well done. Like as someone who like tries to design fantasy worlds and stuff, like for D&D and whatnot, this is always going to be a point of inspiration because it's just so well designed.
No, I can see that for sure.
Mm-hmm. All that said and done, we've talked about this for a little bit, Mitch. We have not done this in a little while. It's time to go through the plot.
We're like 42 minutes into it.
We do this every time where we're like 40 minutes into the show and say, fuck it, let's talk about the plot.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Slam down my drink knowing full well it's not picked up by the microphone.
I heard it.
Oh, well, maybe it was picked up by the microphone.
There you go.
So we are starting this on the planet of Montresor, where young Jim Hawkins is reading a book about the space pirate Captain Flint, who had this strange ability to strike and disappear without a trace, dumping all of his loot on the fabled Treasure Planet. Make your bet now, folks, how many times I'm going to want to say Treasure Island while doing this recap.
At least 47.
I almost did it there. We see Jim's like fascination though with pirates. His mom being the best. This was like the beginning of the era of Disney moms being great and also like weirdly good looking. We fast forward 12 years and Jim is being awesome. That's my only way to put it. He is just being awesome. He is riding a Sky Surfer, which is a rocket.
He's being Tommy from the Power Rangers.
It's a rocket-powered sailboard. He is grinding and dodging his way through this, what's presumably some sort of factory, before eventually getting stopped by the cops. He gets brought back to the inn where he and his mom run. We get some great comedy here of her being like, I think Jim's really turning a corner. Door opens, there's Jim with the cops.
Well, we got a great moment in a little bit too, where it's like, yeah, it'd be great if Jim just, would bring a pet home.
Yeah, shows up with a dying man.
Dying pirate man.
Mm-hmm. But also how that comes back at the end when he shows back up with Morph.
Yeah. Look at my new pet.
Yeah, so much of his mom's lines are so fucking funny. But yeah, he helps out, gets berated for not doing anything with his life. Goes up and decides, like any teenager in the early 2000s, I'm going to go sulk on the roof. He while they're a spaceship crashes on one of the docking ports near the inn, and out comes the pirate Billy Bones. Very obsessed with his chest, also kind of a turtle.
A little bit. No, definitely a turtle.
Definitely a turtle. He
Like
gives
a turtle that high evolutionary had gotten at.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jim brings him inside, and on his deathbed, Billy Bones gives him the sphere out of the chest, warning him to beware the cyborg. Ooh, spooky. And then it's as if on cue, pirates attack the inn.
It's almost as if Billy Bones gave Jim a reason to prejudge cyborgs he would meet on his adventure, which would ultimately lead him down a path of self-discovery, reconciliation, and forgiveness.
But also, like, I wouldn't trust pirates either. And I'll be real. Yeah, none of them are hiding the fact that they are pirates.
No.
It's kind of funny how little they hide the fact that they are pirates. But yeah, pirates attack and burn down the inn. They do manage to get out there with the help of Dr. Delbert Doppler. And his weird horse-looking alien cart thing. He takes him over to his place, which is nice. It's really freaking nice. Again, more great comedy. Doppler talks about how he probably won't be able to solve this sphere in years, and Jim just kind of figures it out by fiddling with it. Man, Jim really does just have ADHD.
More or less, yeah.
Mm-hmm. As he's fiddling with the sphere, we learn that it's actually a star map leading to the one and only treasure planet. And it is awesome. It looks so cool. Holographic maps in general, A+ sci-fi shit right there.
Also kind of felt like they were just like, hey, we can do this, so we should. Might not have been this was a weird time for 2D animation where like CG was starting to become a thing. So there are some times where it works really well and other times where it feels kind of jarring. I think in this movie we see both, where it works really well when you've got the hand-drawn stuff with like Ben or John Silver in the scene with their CG components. And then you've got like this, which is like, it's a little.
This part I thought this part was fine.
I had the same issue with this in Atlantis, where there were certain flourishes that felt a little out of place.
See, I thought it all felt fairly in place, at least for this scene. There's definitely other scenes where I can see what you're saying. Yeah. But I think for this one, they did always keep that 2D element in it. And while the 3D map wasn't always perfect, mm-hmm. It is still dumbed down enough to work well enough for me. It's just holographic lines in space. Like, I think that's what makes it work.
No, that's fair. It's like getting some of the holograms in Star Wars.
I also really like how it comes back again at the end. So they figure this out, and they're like, okay, so we need to go on an adventure. But Jim's mom doesn't want him to go. So Doppler's going to go with him because that inspires trust for some reason. They end up commissioning the RLS Legacy, commanded by the fantastic Captain Amelia and her first mate, Mr. Arrow, who is awesome. Rest in peace, Mr. Arrow. We've got the crew, which very clearly are the pirates that attacked the inn. They don't try to hide it, which I appreciate. Led by the cyborg cook, John Silver, whose arm is freaking awesome.
It kind of defies the laws of physics too, but
it's whatever. Sci-fi.
Sure. Suspension of disbelief.
The moment they have to show it off of him just like cooking a bunch of shit, mm-hmm. It's such a great way to show off a cybernetic arm. Yeah. But yeah, we got him, and it's very clear that he's the person that Bones was warning Jim about. Amelia makes Jim a cabin boy, he's supposed to be supervised by Silver and Morph. And they begin to form a father-son relationship. We see this over time through the power of the Goo Goo Dolls and a montage. Because every film needs a good montage. There's no other points to be made.
That's the only way to do it.
The montage is really great though. Like them cooking and cleaning and then eventually sailing and doing ship stuff. Mm-hmm. Great. As they're going, they have this moment to connect. After Silver takes Jim out to like teach him how to sail, but Jim already knows and shows off, and Silver's like, "Oh man, you're actually really damn good at this." They have this wonderful moment of connection that is beautiful. We talked about it earlier in the show. Eventually, the ship encounters a supernova, and a black hole begins to form. Jim secures the crew's lifelines, but in the heat of the moment, because he is getting antsy about wanting to take over the ship, fucking Scroop, cuts the line of Mr. Arrow, causing him to fall into the black hole and presumably die. Eventually, afterwards, Scroop totally blames it on Jim, and everyone just believes it.
I mean, the thing is, experience, right? Scroop has been here. Jim hasn't. Jim is a kid.
Look, I get
it's easy to place blame when it was his responsibility to secure the lines.
I get the crew being behind it. I don't get Amelia being behind it.
I mean, the only reason Amelia is behind it is because Jim is inexperienced.
True. And Silver
and it was her that assigned the task, right?
Yeah, true. They're eventually making their way to Treasure Planet. While time goes on, Jim is kind of catching wise again to the crew being pirates. We get a moment where Jim wakes up all happy like and goes down to the kitchen to go talk to Silver, who is not there. He hides though and sees some of the pirates talking, as well as Silver, who is saying stuff like, "Oh, I'm only getting close to the boy because I need to keep him off for scent," and stuff like that. Eventually, though, he does catch Jim, realizing that he's there. Jim pulls a fantastic move for someone in complete shock.
Again, it's a movie. Suspend disbelief. Get through this in an hour 35. I'm fine with it.
I mean, even just as far as action movies go, like it's a great fucking move.
Yeah.
And starts the mutiny early. Everything goes to shit, but Dopper and Amelia and Jim are able to get off without the map, with the map, except that it's not the map, it's actually Morph. They go crashing down onto Treasure Planet, where they eventually meet Ben, a navigational robot, previously part of Captain Flint's crew, voiced by the fantastic Martin Short, and is easily the most lovable character, instantly the most lovable character in this movie.
Yep.
They eventually go around this place for a while, hiding from the pirates, trying to deal with them. Eventually, they sneak onto the ship to get the actual map. Before going back, getting caught and whatnot. There's some fun stuff with the artificial grav. The whole scene of them stealing back the map is fun. Mostly just because of Martin Short. Because again,
anything Martin Short is in is made infinitely better just by his presence.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you're not saying the whole Martin Short Canadian thing.
I mean, it's overplayed at this point. Come on, I have scruples.
You do it every episode.
I know, and I'm waiting for our Only Murders in the Building episode to just rave about the Canadianness of Martin Short.
Fair enough. It's great. It's very on display in that show. Also, he's just great in that show, but that's beside the point. Anyways, they get the stuff. They crack. Silver and his crew have kidnapped or have captured Doppler and Amelia, and so they're all like, "Okay, I guess we're all working together now." They eventually are like, "Okay, make the ball thing do the thing," and creates a navigation map through the forest like it's a fucking video game.
Because it is.
Because it is. Go play the Treasure Planet video game. Don't actually.
Also, how the hell is Steve Martin 78?
That doesn't feel right.
Sorry, I went down a Martin Short rabbit hole and ended up on Steve Martin.
Fair enough. It
happens.
It feels like it should be more than that, but anyways, the line kind of just ends abruptly where Jim, after examination, finds a port to put the ball in. The ball opens up, and it turns out it's actually a portal, and that's how he's been doing all of this.
That was the key.
And I love a good portal opening, and it's just somewhere totally different. Like there's a great shot near the end of it of like the calm forest, and then the inside of the planet just blowing up.
Yeah. Or when they're escaping and everything blows up through the portal as they end up back on the moon.
Mm-hmm. And the triangle portal is also just very clean looking.
Oh yeah,
which
I was really surprised. They really pulled it off.
Yeah. Anyways, they realize that's how they get inside. They have to actually go to the middle of the inside of the planet and use the portal to do so. They go in there, and being held on Flint's corpse is Ben's missing memories. Jim reinstalls it into Ben's head, and Ben remembers that Flint rigged the entire planet to blow up because he never wanted anyone else to have that treasure. Because he was a greedy, greedy pirate. Everyone flees as things begin to explode. Jim tries to reoperate Flint's original ship. Eventually, though, they do all get out of the inside and all get aboard the Legacy, which is trying to escape, but it becomes damaged in the process. Oh, also, all of this is happening. Silver has to decide between Treasure and Jim and chooses Jim. Kind of an important part of that.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So yeah, they all get onto the Legacy and are trying to get away, but they can't get away fast enough. So Jim tells them to go towards the explosions and go towards the portal, which the people who haven't seen the portal think he's absolutely insane.
They put a lot of faith in this kid.
They really did. And they took the word of the pirate as well about this kid. I'm questioning Captain Amelia here. Eventually, though, yeah, they swap it. They swap the portal to the spaceport at just the last possible moment. And it switches. They go out of Montrose or spaceport, which is just a great name. Things blow up behind them. The portal closes, and they've made it out set free. We get one final moment between Jim and Silver at the end, where Silver is trying to take off. Jim was like, I know what you're doing. You never give up. He leaves Morph with Jim and also gives him some treasure to rebuild the Benbow Inn. Saying that he believes Jim will rattle the stars. Again, the writing. Just so damn good. Anything with like stars and space shit is so my speed. I love it. Eventually we cut to the future here. Unknown how long. Doppler and Amelia got married. They have 4 children. Ben is now working with Jim's mom at the inn, and Jim is a cadet of the Interstellar Academy. One of those great, from early to end shifts is very much them showing up at the door, the police showing up at the door again with Jim at the very end.
Yeah, very much just setting up some sort of sequel series that is Jim in the Academy that just never materializes.
Yeah. He looked up into the clouds, and the clouds are very clearly silver, and that is the end.
He even winks at him.
Yep. That's the end. Cue the music. Awesomeness. It's great. A fantastic time had by everyone. This is definitely a movie I think it's worth watching. At the very least, to just see some of the last 2D animation we got out of Disney.
Yeah, it was fun. Like I said, nothing against that.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's very fun to look back at some the super early 3D graphics. But that's me being a nerd. So I will leave y'all on this. The opening scene is reminiscent of Sonic Adventure, not Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And Mitch is old. That's what we got out of this episode.
I'm tired. My back hurts.
Seriously though,
it's almost tomorrow and I want to go to sleep.
I love this movie. I will highly recommend this movie to just about anyone and everyone. I'm really happy we did this. As
someone who's only seen it for the first time, it's worth a watch.
Yeah. Will we ever get more of this? Absolutely not. But
agree to disagree. I think there's a value in Disney.
Oh, I meant like Treasure Planet specifically.
Oh, fuck no. They're going to forget this exists.
I think they already did.
This thing disappears into the vault the way that Mulan should have. I didn't enjoy that movie.
I didn't enjoy the movie, but I don't think Mulan should disappear into the vault.
No, I meant more so just like don't revisit it. It doesn't have to disappear necessarily, but that live action movie was not.
Mulan 3. Here we go. No, I'm kidding.
In 2D.
Just put Mulan in more Kingdom Hearts games and I'm good.
I mean, that's kind of a given at this point. When we get Kingdom Hearts 4 in 2086.
When we get it next year. Yeah, that's right. I'm delusional. Now, Mitch, we're wrapping up the show. We're just rambling at this point. Where can people find us?
I just got an email from my grocery store that a salad that I bought had been recalled. At D plus us in places with things and stuff and social things I don't do and should.
The salad thing killed me. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
I'm just glad they notified me. That salad's been sitting in my fridge. We almost had it for dinner tonight.
Yeah, good thing you didn't eat it.
It's a good salad. It's like this Mexican style street corn salad. So it's got like the crumbly cheeses and stuff. It's really tasty. When it doesn't, when there isn't a chance of it giving you listeria.
That is an issue.
You think?
Yeah, go check out other stuff, folks. Hopefully we don't eat bad food.
Don't eat your listeria-laden salads.
We will see y'all in the next episode. But until then, have a magical day.